Hey folks, it's Tommy Freagle Prepper. I want to talk to you a little bit about canning. Um, just going to go over a few things because canning is part of my prepping. It's part of my everyday life. I cook, I eat canned goods. It's a way I save money. It's a way that I can do a lot of preparation on the weekends and when I have time, and then have quick meals later on that my wife and I can make easily and quickly. I can a lot of different things. This is beef. Um, this is celery. This, carrots, uh, lima beans. This is sweet or green tomato relish that's kind of sweet and that's got mustard seed in it. It's really good. This is sausage lentil soup. Um, so I'm going to do a few canning videos, and what I'm going to talk about is just a few of the things that I've learned from canning for a while now. That might help somebody else out that's wanting to get started. Canning's getting more popular. The stuff's getting cheaper. And in fact, there's a graniteware pressure canner on sale right now. It's a really nice one. It's normally $112. It's on sale for $40, free shipping on Amazon. Free Prime shipping. I don't know if you don't have Prime, you might have to pay something for shipping. I'd highly recommend getting Prime because the free shipping and free television, it's a really good deal for $80 a year. So the one of the things I'm going to talk about first is jars. Now, one of the questions is, can you reuse these, mason jars? This is a salsa jar from Aldi's. It's good salsa, but you can reuse the jar, and I do. They may say, oh, you shouldn't do it or only use it in a water bath. I'm going to tell you, there's two types of canning, and we'll go into this later. There's water bath canning and there's pressure canning. And you'll actually have tons of people that will say, don't use these in the pressure canner, use them in the water bath canner only. I've had more jars crack in water bath canners than anything else because the chances of thermal shock with that much extra water is much greater than it is in a pressure canner. And with water bath canning, you're building up pressure within the jar and it's venting out the lid. In pressure canning, you have equal pressure inside and outside the jar. Wesley, can you be quiet, please? Okay, so now as far as jars, buying jars is fine. If you're going to buy some jars or get some jars, a lot of people, they get these wide mouth jars. And I got these really cheap on special, so I bought some. And I do use them some. But wide mouth lids are going to cost you almost twice as much. It's like instead of $1.29, it's $2.29 for a pack of lids. And the lids aren't reusable. You can reuse the rings. You can reuse the jars. The lids have to be replaced every time you can. You can use the set of lids that come on the jars when they're new. And a lot of people think you can't or shouldn't. They might have a little indentation in them. Just put them in some good hot water, but not boiling water, and let them sit, and they'll seal up just fine, and you can reuse those. But once they've actually been processed with food in them, then you can't reuse them again safely. And some people do and claim that they've used them 20 times and they're fine. But if I buy $100 of meat and I go through all that work and time to put it back, I'm not going to put a cheap reused lid on that meat and risk losing that investment of time and money. I'd rather get a new lid. These gold ones here are Golden Harvest lids. One thing you should know is that Ball, Kerr, and Golden Harvest all come off the same assembly line in Indiana. Made by the same people, Jarden Home Brands, and they just have a different design on the jar. So whatever you can get cheapest is best. I like the Golden Harvest lids because they're blank on top. The Ball lids have writing, so when you go to write, you got to write in between their lid. With this, you have more room to write what you want on the lid. So wide mouths are good for certain things that you're canning. Pickle wedges are really good. You can get better access, but the lids are going to cost you more. So, I mean, I'll leave it the discussion pretty much, I think, with that. Um, Also, some tools you're going to want. This is a bubbler tool, and you stick that down inside the jar. You can use a butter knife just fine. A lot of people say don't use metal in your jars. I've never had a problem using a butter knife. I couldn't find this for a while when I moved, and I used a butter knife. So this isn't necessarily something you need. You can get this headspace measuring tool on the end here too with it. But you'll learn, your, what is that, the half-inch headspace is pretty much right at the top of the rim. 3/4 inches is just below it. So you don't really have to have that tool. Um, if you're going to heat your lids up, you don't want to do it in real hot water or boiling water. So they have these little lid lifters. And if you're going to get one, fine. But Ball says you don't have to heat the lids anymore. I like to in some hot water, but not boiling water. I just think it gives a better seal. But I got this a while back, this nice stainless steel one. It looks really great. Problem is the magnet on this thing is so strong that it will lift 20 lids out of the pot at once. If you're going to get one, get this cheap plastic Ball one, because I got a weak magnet and it'll lift one or maybe sometimes 2 lids out. It's a much better tool. So I mean that's one of the little things I learned. This was really a waste of money. I don't use it. It's got too strong of a magnet. Jar funnels. Yes, they're handy and they're not too much money. I'd recommend getting one, but if you're just getting started, you don't have to make that investment. Just when you ladle stuff in your jars, just be extra careful not to spill it. But if you are going to invest in one, skip this one and get one of these. This folds up away for easy storage with your canning stuff, right? It pops out. It's got a bigger top to help prevent spillage. And it seals, in the narrow mouth jar on that setting, or in the second level, it does the wide mouth jars and seals up tight. So I really like this one much more than this. So find one of these at the end of canning season on sale, clearance, buy one of these. But you can get by without one at first. Just ladle it in there carefully. Especially for things like meat and stuff that you're raw packing and you're just packing it in the jars. You don't need a ladle at all, or a funnel. So next time I'm going to talk a little bit about what types of canners you need to get started. And the truth is, if you're just going to start doing some water bath canning, you don't need a canner. You need a stock pot from the dollar store. This is all you need to really get started canning. And you get some recipes, and you can get them for free on freshpreserving.com. You can also buy a Ball Blue Book, and that's a good idea if you're going to do a lot of canning or get a lot of recipe ideas. But you can also find those on clearance before the end of the year when the new book's getting ready to come out. So, some ideas. We're going to talk about different types of pressure canners and weights, but there is a deal on a pressure canner, and you can also use a pressure canner to water bath can in. So if you're interested in getting started in canning, that canner for $40 is a nice canner, and it's a great deal. So I'll put a link to it below. This is Tom, your frugal prepper, and I will talk to y'all later. If you have any specific things you'd like me to answer about canning, specific foods, recipes you'd like me to talk about, leave me a comment below and I'll go into it. And if it's something that I would normally can, I'll get something canned up for you and do a session on it. Anyway, that's all I got. I'll talk to y'all later.